Hey guys, I'm Jared Bentley, and this is the latest edition of the Pop Chronicle. I know many of you who are watching this right now have a major void in your life after last week, something that you've invested years and lots of emotion and hours into talking about Game of Thrones. It's gone. It has left the building. And now you've got to have something to replace that show in your repertoire. So here are my 5 suggestions for shows you could use to replace Game of Thrones. Number 5, HBO's Rome. While Rome follows the career and story of Julius Caesar, the backdrop of the Ides of March, and the eventual death of the Republic, it essentially centers on 2 main characters who find themselves caught up in the action surrounding them. Lucius Vorenus and Titus Pullo are 2 soldiers on different trajectories who constantly find themselves entwined in the business and interests of the rich and powerful members of Roman society, witnessing firsthand the rise of Caesar, the death of Caesar, the crowning of Octavian, and the demise of Antony and Cleopatra. Pullo is a man of the people, Vorenus is a commander intent on improving his lot in life, and the 2 sway from one extreme to another, either at each other's throats or depending on one another to survive, and eventually finding an unbreakable brotherly bond. It's created by writers known for grandiose ideas like Bruno Heller and John Milius, and a production team who's bent on delivering grandiose set design, and it had plenty to go around. There's a reliance on excessive violence and hedonism, as was custom during the glory days of Rome, and viewers may have some issues with the casual nature of both during the run of the show. If those things are acceptable to you though, stick with it, because the storylines, visuals, and totality of performances make it very much worth the effort. Number 4, Spartacus. From Star's early run of originals, we were gifted the spectacle of Spartacus. It's bloodier than Game of Thrones and filled with more equal opportunity, nudity, violence, and excess. And it is not a show for the faint of heart or for those who shy away from vulgarity. It's centered on the Thracian soldier and gladiator Spartacus, and it follows his fall from grace on the battlefield, his abduction and enslavement by the Romans, and his eventual slave uprising that he led in Capua. As many shows of its kind are wont to do, it builds and builds with conflict after conflict and leads to a huge final battle, and it does not disappoint. Spartacus is actually more than just a guilty pleasure. It's a sweeping epic for those who are more familiar with Tarantino than David Lean, so don't expect a classic, but expect to be entertained. Another Starz show comes in at number 3. It's one that leans on the grotesque at times, and it's one of my favorite all-time shows, Black Sails. A brutal and obscene prequel for Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island, Black Sails is a huge production and looks and feels as though it was ripped straight from the dark days of maritime history, from the first frame to the last. It's raw and organic, and it depicts pirates and their lives as far from glamorous, and the violent nature of man is on full display throughout. It follows the exploits of Captain James Flint, who's played by Toby Stephens in his best role to date, as he attempts to bring power and respectability to the island of New Providence, and it also highlights the lives of real-life pirates Charles Vane, Jack Rackham, Anne Bonny, Blackbeard, and Long John Silver. It's a beautiful show, filmed in exotic locales that leaves you breathless at times, but it's the cast, a wonderful group of British stage veterans who make the show so good. Number 2 is The Last Kingdom. It centers on Uhtred of Bebbanburg, the young son of a nobleman who is kidnapped by Vikings after his father's army is defeated, and he is raised by those Danes as one of their own, eventually becoming a beloved son to the powerful Earl Ragnar. Ragnar is killed by other Danes or Vikings, and Uhtred vows revenge, but he also wants to return home to Bebbanburg. As he attempts to return home, he becomes entangled in the efforts of the new King Alfred to create a unified England, and also in the efforts of the Dane leader Ubba to wrestle control of Wessex from the Saxons. Over 3 seasons, you can learn the history of the birth of England and do so while being heavily entertained. It's another show that features material for mature audiences, many a liberty taken with the characters' histories, but the story, for the most part, rings true with historical accounts of the time period, and it is very well told. Number 1 on my list is the History Channel's Vikings. Vikings tells the story of Ragnar Lothbrok's travels through England and France and his family's influence on Scandinavian history. Ragnar is a legendary Norse hero, rising from poor farmer to become king of his people. And the saga told in this series is definitely befitting a legendary figure, often violent and crude, just like the others, but it's always honest and palpable. The cast of this show is phenomenal, especially Travis Fimmel as Ragnar and Catherine Winnick as Lagertha. And speaking of Lagertha, that's something refreshing about this show. The fact that a female character is played as strong, intelligent, and completely self-sufficient without compromising her character to influence a storyline or move the narrative forward. She is the breakout star of the show. Her character development influenced other well-known actors who came on board for later seasons, and her character has influenced other writers to create more for strong females. If you get a chance to see these 5 shows, please do. If you already have, tell other people. If not, check them out, and I hope you enjoy them. I'm Jared Bentley, and this has been the Pop Chronicle of the Johnson City Press. Thanks for watching.